Hey everyone, it is Brett Fisher here with Fisher Search Group. We are coming to you with the Fisher Search Group podcast, and I have a great guest with me today on the show. We got Luetrell Toler with True Talk. Before I have him come onto the stage here, I'm going to introduce him as a management consultant for all things human capital, executive search, career coaching, and an overall domain expertise in talent acquisition and talent acquisition adjacent. Put your hands together for my good friend Luetrell Toler. Thank you for coming
Oh, I'm excited. Excited. What Fisher Group, or I like to say BFG International. What's good, my man?
today. BFG. I know we're stateside for today's podcast. Sometimes we're traveling in different cities. Sometimes we're in Zurich, Switzerland. I know we go back a long ways. Actually, I used to have my co-working space that my friend Gonzalo talked about on our last LinkedIn Live. How he almost didn't show up because he thought I wasn't very professional because I was working out of a co-working space. But then he showed up, and then it changed his life, and now he's off doing great things. So we've known each other
Yes,
since you're still in that very co-working space back in
I think so.
2012 to 2014, something like that. So
Yeah,
you're a
I
longtime
was one of the
tenant. They
original,
should be happy
I
to
call
have you.
myself a triple OG. I was one of the original members here. I think I'm 6 months in after they opened, I moved in. The thing that keeps me here is community. There are a lot of spaces around Santa Monica and Venice, as you well know, but none has had the community feel that this place has, right? So we may not have the fancy amenities, but we're across the street from the beach,
That's
and
awesome.
we like each other, which is cool.
Yep. I remember we did a lot of events there. I did a landing a job event. You did an interview prep event. You did your True Talk events. I attended a couple of them. I think I was like one of the
Yeah, yes,
bar sponsor or something for one of them. But yeah, we had a lot of good events there. So fast forward, but 10 years now, and
it's
I'm out
huge.
here in Thousand Oaks living the family life, and you're living the family life
Yeah,
too.
we
But
miss you,
you're
man.
you're
We miss you.
you're living the dream in Santa Monica. Thank you. So let's jump into it. We have been brainstorming for the past couple of weeks on what to talk about. And I think what a lot of people want to know, and I'm so glad you're joining me today, is
Mm.
how to uncover the hidden job market. And I mean, it's kind of like, wow, a hidden job market. It sounds like it's mysterious, but there are so many ways to access jobs. And I think a lot of people only think about, applying through like the career sites for companies and things like that. So I thought you would be probably like one of the resident experts on this, and so I'd love to dive in and talk about this hidden job market that people keep talking about. And before we do, I think it'd be helpful just to get a kind of
Mm.
state of the current job market, like kind of what's going on right now. So now you, as a consultant for talent acquisition, you're a career coach. What are you seeing out
Well, I
there that you
think
think would be helpful to share with the
in tech
audience?
and media, and not just tech and media jobs, but the tech and media industry as a whole, there seems to be more supply than there is demand. And that's just a fancy way of saying there are a lot of
Mm,
candidates who are looking for jobs right now, and they don't seem to be a lot. Not like it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where you could throw a rock and get an
hmm
offer. That's not necessarily the case anymore. That doesn't mean that jobs aren't
Right.
out there. They're just not out there in the capacity that they were previously. So it's and for a lot of people, it's tough,
Right.
especially specifically for people in tech, media, and talent acquisition, right? Because if companies, especially larger companies or startups, aren't hiring a lot, if they
hmm
aren't scaling with employees at this point, then the first people to go are talent acquisition folks, and so it's a challenge for people out there. So I can empathize.
Yeah. So I do a lot of work in medical device sales marketing, and in that industry, there's also reductions, there's layoffs. So we're seeing the demand go down, but there's also the
Hmm.
supply is really low as well. We're seeing very low job growth, probably because the interest rates are high and investment is low. And then the
Mm,
quit rate, well, people are like staying put. So I think there was a lot of investment in, government was giving out money a couple of years ago, invested in people, gave them, maybe slightly higher
mm,
salaries than maybe
mm,
they would have had previously. So people are staying. I think they're largely happy. So I see my end of day reports from everyone on my team. They always list why someone's not interested in a role, and it's like, happy, not looking, staying put,
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
good, like just a lot of that. So that's it's very tight on my side of things. But you're down there in Silicon Beach, pretty heavy tech scene,
Yeah.
so I think it's good to compare and contrast. So with this hidden job markets, which is what we're talking about today, I wanted to start off
Mm,
with the applicant tracking system. This is it's the backbone of every
mhm.
company's human capital portal. You gotta apply. You always have to apply, formally apply for a job. And I think a lot of people think by default, I'm just gonna like submit my application,
Sure.
right? So can you just take a couple moments to give us your perspective on the applicant
Sure. And I've
tracking
been
system
on
and just
both sides
applying
of
through
the
a career
applicant
site?
tracking system. I've been on the side where, actually, I guess there would be three sides. I've been on the side where I'm a user of an applicant tracking system. I've been on the side where I'm helping a company select an applicant tracking system, and I'm working with the company now and actually offering
Hmm.
advisory on their applicant tracking system because they're trying to improve the candidate experience. And I've been on the candidate experience side of the applicant tracking system.
Hmm.
Most recently, I had my research assistant just apply to jobs on my behalf so that we could see what that experience was like. I think she applied to about 200 jobs using my resume, and I can tell you it is
Wow,
an office,
that's a lot.
office, awful, cumbersome, laborious process and tedious to apply for the most part on the
To
candidate
apply.
experience side. So
Yeah.
I want to describe
Yep.
what the applicant tracking system looks like from the other side, not from the candidate experience side, from the person,
Yeah.
the employer side. Yes, thank you.
Employer side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peel back the curtain for a second, because I
So
think this
if you
is going
can
to be very interesting
imagine,
for the
um,
listeners.
the applicant tracking system allows the employer to post a job on all the sites, including their own internal website, their internal job site.
Hmm.
The applications come in, and what the user, what the employer, or it's usually a recruiter, what they see is usually a screen of about 20 candidates. So let's say there are 100 applicants to one job. The view is usually 20 candidates per screen, more or less. Sometimes you can make that 50, but yeah,
I see,
exactly.
like a
And then you
summary of like
toggle
the
over,
first
right? So
20,
you can
and then you have
imagine.
to
So
click
let's
to the
say
next
there's, I
page.
don't know, let's say there's 25 per screen. Maybe you can
Yep.
make it
Yep.
50, whatever the applicant, there's a number, but for this instance, let's make it, there's 100 applicants, they can see 25 per screen. So as the recruiter
Yep.
is going through the applicants, let's say they find 3 or 4 viable candidates that warrant an interview slate on their first 2 screens. There's no incentive for them to review the rest of the screens. So it doesn't mean that the people on
That's
screen
interesting.
4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 aren't qualified. It just means that no one's reviewed their profile or reviewed their resume because they found the candidates that the applicants that they needed in the first couple screens. They've got 3 or 4 people interviewing for that job, and now they can go to the next job. Now,
Hmm. So what I'm hearing is, on the employer side, if they find three, four, five qualified candidates in those first 2 pages of results that of applicants, they're good. Like they're gonna send them to interview, but yet
absolutely,
there's still like
and
40 or 50, 60 more. Which, so why wouldn't they go through all of
that's a
them
great question,
first
and they
and then
should.
send the best of the
And
best?
the companies with great systems and great processes do that, but by and large, in my experience, and then from what I've heard anecdotally,
Mm-hmm.
most don't. So you can imagine an
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you why. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do,
Mm.
but you can imagine an inundated recruiter who's working on 25, 20 job openings. They've got 3 or 4 people,
Yeah, easily
many, not just
internally
that
they're
one.
working on
They've got three or
many
four
jobs.
people interviewing for that
Yeah,
one. There's no incentive for them to continue. That's more work for them, right? So that shouldn't be the best case scenario. Now, they
I
could
see.
sort the candidates by alphanumeric. They could sort them by chronological order. They could sort them by location. Whatever their sort is, once they have enough candidates for the interview slate, the rest of the people aren't going to be seen. So when candidates receive
Hmm.
that ubiquitous rejection letter, that just means, it doesn't mean that someone reviewed your application and saw you and deemed you not to be a fit. That just means they have enough people and they're probably about to move forward to offer stage. So it's a form written letter. Everyone gets the same letter. So that's why you receive that. So it makes it, I thought at some point we should do a show where we show, and I'll make sure we can do that, where we show what the recruiter is actually seeing so people can see what I'm talking about, so they visualize it.
I see. Yeah. So I guess what I'm interpreting, what I'm hearing you say is that this should not be the only place that
Absolutely.
job applicants look for jobs. Is the is so
Mm-hmm.
we call it ATS, Applicant Tracking System. On the candidate side, you all
Mm-hmm.
call it the job boards, the career sites, ZipRecruiter, Indeed,
Right.
LinkedIn,
And
companies like that. On the employer
ATS.
side,
And
on the back end, they
I,
refer to it as ATS,
okay,
Applicant
one
Tracking
quick
System.
thing.
So
So
let's.
when
Oh, go ahead.
companies, and I know this because I've been in these meetings, when companies are buying an applicant tracking system, they aren't buying them based on the candidate experience and how easy it is for a candidate to apply. They are buying it based on the dashboards
Mm,
and the reporting capabilities. And that's how they're usually sold. So they aren't typically
mm,
the applicant experience, the
mm,
candidate experience is almost an afterthought because the buyers are thinking, can I get my boss's reports really quickly? Can I see what do the dashboards look like? So by and large, that's what the systems are selling. Some are worse than others. Some are better than others. Greenhouse tends to be one of the better ones where there's a balance between both sides.
I
Can I
heard they're good.
mention one
Yep.
that's cumbersome? Would that be throwing someone under the bus here? So Workday tends to
No,
be one
go
of the more
ahead.
cumbersome systems, and if you've ever encountered Workday, you'd probably know it because those it's the one probably where you upload your resume and you still have to enter your information, and there's these. It's usually followed by questions, and I just read yesterday that they are actually being sued for bias. So that should be interesting.
Mm. It's amazing. I appreciate you taking the time to share all that. Let me just hit the transition button here. And we are going to move to the next section of this podcast, which is the places to look for the hidden job market, because what we don't want you to be trapped in is the job boards. So and I can tell you from a recruiter standpoint, when I get the resumes coming in, we rarely post for jobs, but some jobs we do post. And then when those jobs, when those applicants, when those resumes come in, it's anything and everything. And unfortunately, like maybe 99% of it is not really any background relevant to the job that we're even hiring for, which is why we don't really use the job boards. But sometimes we just, we'll post anyway just for visibility. So people can see that, we're working on certain types of jobs. So it's, so I can see why the in-house recruiter, when they come across even one that's good, they're like straight to panel, or they'll pick up the phone and they'll screen them. And then those other 30 or 40 or 50 people, they're going to be kind of left in the background. So let's now talk about the hidden job market, the elusive places, the stones that we got to turn over, that we recommend, that you recommend. And I know when we brainstormed about this, we started talking about
Mhm.
our network, right? That's the first place where the hidden job market's going to be. You
Yeah,
want
and
to
I'm going to go
elaborate
back
for
a
a
little bit,
second
and
on thoughts there?
this may sound counterintuitive. So obviously, and I know you're great on the network side, so you could definitely speak to the networking piece. But I'm going to say some things that might seem counterintuitive, that instead of applying to jobs, you first think about, before you even apply or react to opportunities, it's important that you do a self-assessment and think about some things in certain areas. You want to really reflect and think about
Mm.
what you're passionate about. You want to think about what you're good at. What are your tangible skills? What are you actually good at? And you want to think about, and this, a lot of people miss this piece. Um, you want to think about your mission, what you think the world needs, what you think a company needs,
Yes.
what's the difference you
Yes. I
want to
love
make,
that.
right? And as you start moving further in your career, you'll see that this becomes more important. So if you can match those three things: passion, your strengths, or some people call it vocation, and then your mission, now you have, let's call it a filter. So you find organizations that come close to that criteria, to your values. So this is you deciding who you're going to reach out to. So first, you do the self-assessment. Second thing you do is find organizations that match that. It's going to take some research.
We're talking about the hidden job market, where to look outside of the applicant tracking system.
Mm-hmm,
And we were about to go really tactical
mm-hmm,
here, but you said stop, back up. Here's
mm-hmm,
three things that we really want you to remember before you even jump on the job board. So take it away.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So what you would, self-reflective about what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and what you think the world needs. And I'll say it that way because as you start moving further in your career, legacy becomes important, meaning becomes important.
I
And
love
if
that.
you're connected to a job that has meaning, you'll enjoy it more. Because remember, this is not just a job, this is
Right.
your life. So when those three things intersect, it's a beautiful thing. So now, and we're getting really
Mm-hmm.
granular here, once you have those three things, now you can start identifying organizations where those three things intersect for you. So it may not be exact, but you're looking for organizations where that are somewhat aligned with your values and what you want to contribute. Once you find those organizations, now the question becomes finding people who work at those organizations, and then I'll let you take it from there, and you can talk specifically to how to network once you've identified the
Yeah, so those were
organization.
three great points. Just to recap, it's figuring out what you're really great at, what you love doing, and aligning yourself with an organization that has a mission that's consistent and aligned with what you value, and obviously where you can contribute. So today we're talking about the hidden job market, other than the applicant tracking system or the job boards, LinkedIn, Indeed, things like that. We are always making the recommendation to any candidate that we're coaching or helping through an interview process to also look at their network, right? This is going to be kind of the first place to go. I'm always talking to employers. Their number one referral source internally is from people who work there. And so they're always looking, who do you know? Who have you worked with previously? Who you obviously you can endorse them and bring them into the organization. That's the number one source for employers are referrals. So if you take a moment to go through people on your LinkedIn, social media, and figure out who's in your network at maybe companies that you'd like to work at, that's going to be a much better and quicker and more efficient path to getting into a company and applying for a job. The other aspect of the hidden job market is there may not necessarily be a job that's open today, but I can tell you as a recruiter, we're learning about opportunities months before they become open, whether it's planned growth or whether it's a performance improvement situation or an upcoming termination. We usually know several months in advance. And so just because you
Or a
or a
project,
project. That's right.
a big project or
Right.
initiative.
That's another
Yeah.
one in the hidden job market is consulting. Consulting
Yeah.
opportunities is like a try before you buy situation. It opens doors. So my recommendation is to go to select people in your network at those companies you're looking to work at where you can bring value, network with them, meaning pick up the phone, send them a message, go out to coffee, have a drink, whatever. Offer to help them out, and then they'll think of you, and then hopefully they'll think of you when new opportunities come along. So number one is through the network. Number two would be just reaching out directly to hiring managers on LinkedIn, the person who could be a manager for you, even if there is no job posting, and get your resume in front of them. Offer to do an informational interview. You've heard about these, right? The informational interview, where you
Mm-hmm.
interview just to kind of create an
Mm-hmm.
introduction, not necessarily because of an open role. And then number three is just through recruiters like Luetrell and myself, who hear about all sorts of things. And not only that, we're connected to probably dozens and dozens of other recruiters who have subdomain specialties, in certain functions and things like that. So when we're talking about the hidden job market, we're talking about your network primarily, and to also think that a lot of these jobs that aren't posted will open up in the coming months, and things change all the time. I mean, I'm sure you see it, Lutrell. I mean, people are human, right? So they make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes. They move. There's a family
Mm-hmm.
circumstance. It's almost inevitable that like 10 or 20%, it's just going to naturally turn over just because of circumstance. So there's always going to be opportunities coming and going.
Absolutely. And I should mention this too, um, by talking to companies that you might be interested in, you'll learn about upcoming initiatives, projects, new departments being formed. Occasionally, I represent candidates the way a talent agent would represent talent, where it's the candidate who's actually paying me and
Mm.
they're the client. So I'm presenting my client
Mm-hmm.
to companies. And right now, AI obviously is the generative AI right now is the hot technology. So if I have, and I just did this a couple of days ago, I have a talented person who's at the forefront of generative AI. I am now presenting him to companies in anticipation of their upcoming AI initiatives, which they've already started talking about and they've already started looking for funding. So when they are ready to pull the trigger on those projects and initiatives, they will already know my client. You don't necessarily have to have someone presenting you the way I'm
Mm-hmm.
presenting people to do that. You could do that yourself. So if you're having coffee meetings and meeting with folks and you're aware of upcoming initiatives and projects, new departments being formed, new offices being opened, or what have you, now this is the hidden job market. This is business intelligence. This is what recruiters do. Good recruiters do all the time. We're constantly gathering business intelligence, and I've seen you in action. I know you're great at it. So once you become aware of these initiatives and projects, you can put yourself in position
Mm-hmm.
to get those.
So what I'm hearing is we really are encouraging everyone listening today out there in the Fisher Search Group True Talk community to be proactive and to take a stand and take a position and take an hour or 2 hours out of your month and deliberately reach out to your network, deliberately update your resume, deliberately reach out and make a new connection, add people on LinkedIn, show up to a networking event, do something to proactively put yourself out there, to fall into one of these kind of tactical things that Lutrell and I just talked about in this podcast. And that will open doors for you. Just you object in motion keeps going. Activity gets activity. Like just putting yourself out there and doing some of these things, you're naturally going to come into a new opportunity in the coming weeks or months.
Well said. You know what I see, I don't know if you see this, Brett, the mistake that some people make is that when they're in a job, or let's say they land a job, they stop doing what we're talking about.
That's right.
They stop doing the networking. They stop making the connections, as if they've suddenly arrived. My recommendation would be to never stop, especially if you've chosen this company because you're passionate about the industry. It's something that you like to do, and this is your mission. Then you're in a space that you want to be in, and you should continue to nurture your network in that space. This doesn't stop just because you've landed a job. Um, or if you know you're going to pivot your career from one thing to another at some point, maybe it's 18 months. Don't wait for the time where you're leaving to do that. Start doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Start having those meetings right now and contribute to your network as well. I'll finish with this. It's not you just reaching out to people and asking if you're hiring. It's you reaching out to people and actually networking and adding value to them too. Because if you just reach out to people and your message is, hey, I'm looking for work, that's going to trigger them to go, okay, our process is if someone's looking for work, they go to talent
Mm,
acquisition. If someone's looking for work, they go to HR. So let me send you over there. So your messaging
that's
needs
a
to be
great point.
different than just, hey, what can you do for me? Maybe you have a point of view. Maybe you admire the work that they've done. Maybe you have questions about what they do. Maybe you want to share some of the things that you've done. You can do that and have better meetings if you've selected them based on that criteria that we gave you earlier. Also, if you've taken the time to do this inventory, your interviews won't feel like interviews because you chose this company. You chose these people to reach out to for other reasons than just they had a job opening. And I can guarantee you, if you suffer from interview anxiety, it'll magically melt away if it's you choosing where you want to go.
That's a great point. And one final point I want to make as well is as you are networking, it's not just externally, but it's within your own organization as well. Employers love employees who stay and develop and grow. It's, retention goes up, turnover goes down, engagement goes up, culture is enriched. I have several clients I'm
Mm-hmm.
working with that I'm aware of. They're creating pathways for people because they want to keep them, especially the really good ones. They want to figure out a way to keep them. So when we're talking about networking opportunities and reaching out to recruiters or hiring managers or people in your network at companies, once you land somewhere, look for opportunities within. It may not be natural for you to think about like, okay, well, where can I go in this company? But to Lutrell's point, offer up value to your boss or other peers or other department heads or whoever, and ask for work, ask for extra projects, and they're going to view that as a really proactive step in figuring out how you can now forge a new path in this company. So not just externally, but also look internally within your own company. How can you network your way and uncover additional jobs within the company? Because the big companies are always going to have, lots of different pathways for jobs. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I should say too that especially after the project that I had my research assistant do, I have a lot of empathy for people who are applying for lots of
mm,
jobs, and that was the purpose. That was the purpose of the project. We actually called it the Empathy Project. Um, I will tell you to my advice would be to not take the current job market personal because there is less demand now. So you may be doing everything right in terms of your search. You may be doing everything that you and I are talking about. You're just going to have to
mm-hmm.
do more of it. So don't take it personal. I know if you're applying for lots of jobs, you're being inundated with rejection emails. Don't take those personal. They're not even, most of the time, they're not even reading your profile. So look at those rejection emails as just um, that's just an
It's just
administrative
an at
function.
bat.
They're closing out the job. It just yeah. So it's not like they looked at your profile in most cases and said, nope, not a fit. It usually means they didn't get to you. They had people
That's
in
right.
process and they've extended an offer. Someone accepted, and now they send that same message to everyone. So I guess my message is don't take the current market conditions. If you're in one of those tough sectors, don't
Yep.
take it
And
personal.
and I love that. That's such great advice. And don't give up. Just lean in a little bit more and get that extra rep in, get that extra application, that extra LinkedIn connection, and stuff's going to happen for you. And so anytime, I know you probably feel the same way, we're available to help. We love sharing advice. We love giving. The only way you're going to get things in return is if you give and you put good stuff out there. So we really hope you've enjoyed the content we're sharing with you today. I don't know, Lutrell, do you have any final thoughts? I think we hit on a lot of things
Yeah,
today.
here Here's what I would say in closing. Someone in your network is aware of an opportunity. I can almost guarantee it. And they may not be in your immediate network. They may be second or third degree using LinkedIn parlance, but someone in your network is aware of something. Someone in your network is aware of something that might be happening. Someone in your network knows someone. So just go with that mindset. And now it just becomes a matter of finding out who that person is. That's what I would say. And we know this in the staffing side when we're doing business development. There is some connection out there that can connect us to a piece of business. We just know we have to do the activity to uncover
Yep.
it. So those in business development and sales know exactly what I'm talking about when I say I'm in activity. That if it's not happening fast enough for you, do more stuff, and you'll increase the likelihood that you'll bump into something. And by do more stuff, I mean
That's
talk
right.
to more people.
Don't underestimate the value of asking and speaking up and asking. So, on that note,
Well
I
said.
thank you for speaking with me today and sharing so many great pearls. I think we're good. We're like right about 30 minutes or so. So if there's
Perfect timing. Thank you to the
the
audience.
audience
Is
is
great.
great. So I appreciate all of you who are here today in our studio here, Fisher Search Group, and at True Talk's headquarters in Silicon Beach, California. I'm so excited we finally got to do a recording together. We're going to get this edited lickety split, and then we'll have some good sound bites that we can share with both your community and my community. We look forward to doing this again. Maybe we can come back together, in about 6 months in the end of the year and talk.
Yeah, maybe come here and do it
That's right. Oh,
live.
we absolutely should
We
do it
could,
live down. Yeah.
yeah, because we miss you. It hasn't been the same since you left.
You're very kind. I really appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. We really enjoyed it. And we look forward to the next opportunity. Thank you so much.